이러려고 이포에 왔어요? 내가 그렇게 만만합니까?
내가 그렇게 나쁩니까?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-host.
Abraham.
And Nick.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good, too. I'm good.
Good.
I'm actually thankful for you, AB.
Why? Because I made a big mistake.
You made a big mistake. Please tell us that mistake.
We're gonna record a couple days ago, and I was ready to watch this movie. I had some trouble renting this movie, and I couldn't. It wouldn't. Apple TV just wouldn't let me rent this movie, and then so I texted Nick. And I said, "Hey, can I borrow your Apple TV? I know you rented it. Can I rent it?" And he was like, "Yeah, here's your this." And then I go to Apple TV, and then I go to the first movie, which happens to be the same movie, the same director by this guy, and I watch Old Boy instead of this week's movie, which is this Decision to Leave, and which caused us.
We were sitting here like, oh, you know that scene? That scene was crazy. And everyone was like,
What scene?
What are you talking about? What rock scene? What are you talking about?
And I was like baffled because this movie that I watched is a crazy movie.
Mm-hmm.
You should watch it.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, and they're like we normally do. We talk about the movie a little bit before we hit record, and I said, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't remember even seeing a rock in this movie.
It's a wrong movie.
And Nick happens to look over my screen. He goes, You're on the wrong movie." And I said, "What movie did you guys watch?" And I said, "I watched Old Boy." And they said,
No.
"We watched Decision to Leave."
Yeah.
Same director.
Yeah. Same director. The reason I thank you is because the day we were going to record, which we couldn't, we ended up watching Old Boy.
Yes.
And it was great to see this guy's filmography, to see how he goes from, well, this was his most recent, but how he is here, but how he was doing it in Old Boy. And I just get a little bit more familiar with his directing style and all that. And it was a great freaking movie.
Yeah. Old Boy is his most famous, in my opinion. That's what everyone kind of knows him for.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And then it only propelled his career after that. So like you got films that people love of his now, like The Handmaiden.
I heard about that one too.
And a couple of like the Vengeance series that he does as well, and then this movie. This movie got a lot of buzz last year whenever it did come out, and I had known that Park Chan-wook was the director of those films, so I was always curious about watching this movie, but never had the reason to.
Yeah.
And now I did have that reason.
Yeah.
And I have to say too, whenever we were supposed to record on Sunday evening, and when we all got together and realized we watched different movies, we all got to sit down with one another and we're like, you know what, let's just use the time that we had that we were going to record and let's just watch Old Boy together.
Oh, yeah.
And
What a freaking experience.
It was a great time. And I think, Abe, you probably got confused because at the end of the last episode, we talked about
Old Boy.
Yeah, see, and there's so many different things that could have led up to why I watched a different movie.
Yeah.
And
And
I will take the responsibility. It was my fault.
Yeah, and so I won't put any blame on you because we
No.
did talk about it, and I think that's probably where the confusion came from. But yeah, and now that we have all seen Old Boy with one another, it's only a matter of time before we do an episode on it now.
Yeah,
because
that's
that
true.
film is, like Abe said, is insane.
It is. And you know what? Here's the thing. I have seen all the hype about it. It just got re-released in theaters. There's no AMC's around us. I think that's where it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely missed it. All the reviews came out, like, of all the big names. I was listening to them, not trying to get spoiled, but they all said, like, oh, yeah, the twist. And I was like, what could that even be? And when the twist happens, man, it's like so much more twisted than
Yeah.
I could have ever pictured in
It's
my mind.
Demented.
Yes.
Like gut-wrenching, disgusting,
It's
like,
like a-
like disturbing twist, like something that only a madman could think about.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it's something like you had to deeply, 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 deeply think about.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I watched this.
Yeah.
I'm thankful. There's a silver lining.
Yeah.
It really got me to realize that this guy, Park Chan-wook, his directing style is, someone had described his films as visual poetry,
Mm.
and
I
I
like
can
that.
100% see that, because
I like that.
the way that he sets his shot up, like almost nothing is there on accident.
Yeah. Everything has purpose.
Yes, the way that the camera moves, the way that it focuses in and out, the color, all of the things that he
Yeah.
does is purposeful.
Yeah. I also think the same thing of like probably one of his contemporaries, like Bong Joon-ho.
Yes.
And like a film like Parasite, where you can dissect just a shot of the film and be like, look, there are lines drawn
Yep.
between the family and the parks, and and so on and so forth, and things like that. And that's the only that only is like pushed further here with Decision to Leave.
Mhm.
There's so much imagery in the film and so much meaning packed into just like simple shots that you could never get
Yeah.
on a first watch. And I think that's something that I wanted to preface first before we dive in, is that if you do decide to watch this movie, or if you have before, then you know that this is a film that requires like multiple viewings for to truly like get into the meat of it and really understand the film and truly appreciate it for what it is. It's a like second viewing, maybe even third viewing, for you to truly appreciate what the film is, because it is incredibly deep, and again packed with meaning. Like
Mhm.
there is just any corner you look at in the screen, it has some sort of meaning to these characters, to the story, everything.
Yes.
And that's honestly the types of movies that I love watching, because I then know that the person that's creating this film loves cinema as much, or if not more, than me, and like is willing to go the distance and do the work to create an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the films that I want to watch personally.
Yeah.
So I was pleased whenever I walked away from this, because afterwards I was like, man, okay, I wonder why everyone was talking all this hype about it. And then I go and I watch some analysis videos on YouTube and read some essays about it and everything, and I'm like, oh wow, like
There's
there's so much here that I missed. That,
so
like,
much.
that, man, like you only pick this up on like a repeated viewing type situation.
Yeah.
And after reading all this stuff and hearing all this stuff about the film, it only makes me want to return to it, so that way I can like see this stuff for myself and come up with my own theory at the end of everything. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited that we watched it, and I'm excited that we get to talk about it today. So
I am too.
where's it streaming?
You had told us that this is a Mubi original.
Yeah, it's a Mubi exclusive.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So in the
This
same
guy
in the same vein of like your Criterion collection, or I think of like Arrow Video, like
right.
those like publishing companies that put out like specific
like
releases of films and things like
A24
that.
has like a channel like that, right?
They do not.
I don't think so.
Not a
I know they have
streaming
they have like a
service.
deal with Showtime where like they put like all of A24's movies on Showtime streaming
Oh,
service.
okay.
But Mubi is if I'm not mistaken, and this is not an ad. I know that they like sponsor people on
Not
YouTube and
us.
stuff. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Mubi is like a streaming platform that puts like curated movies on there, and it's for the real like true cinephiles, like the people that really love film are subscribed to this platform, as well as like in the same vein of like the Criterion channel, and it is a film that is produced and put out by movie exclusively, just like, it's become a commonplace, like movies that are Netflix originals or HBO originals or Max originals, whatever you want to call them, or something like that. So if you want to stream it, it is streaming there if you have that streaming platform, or you can rent it on Apple TV or Prime or other platforms like that.
Yes.
So if you want to check it out, stream it or rent it, pick up a copy, whatever it is that you can do, and tune in to hear what we have to say about the film.
I was surprised to read that this is not rated. I don't know if it's because it's a foreign film.
It's not rated?
No, according to IMDb, it says not rated crime, drama, mystery, romance, thriller.
Yeah, maybe I would assume just because it went straight to streaming.
Yeah, maybe.
You
I would
know?
assume R, just because there's some
Yeah.
death and blood
language
and
things like that. But yeah, I would probably assume just because it's created like just for streaming.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure, or they didn't like submit it to like the MPAA or something like that.
I'm not sure.
I
Something
don't
to
know.
think about if you want to
I don't know how that goes.
decide to jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, we're also going to be talking about a lot of spoilers.
yes,
as well.
Spoilers
So
out the wazoo.
again, if you do not know anything about this film and you want to keep it that way, pause it, come back once you've watched it, or if you don't care, continue listening.
Yes.
So, as always, we'll start off with our first favorite scenes. Before we do, though, I want to ask you, how did you hear about this film? Or, like, how did it come across your table?
Yeah, that is an interesting. Yeah.
You know what? I have tons of time to kill on my working hours, so I have my AirPods in, and I just put up a bunch of videos. And it was around the time where people were doing their top 10 lists and all that. And there was one list that I had listened to where it was like top 10 movies that will not get any mentions. Like will most likely not get any attention, even though it definitely should. And there was a bunch of movies, and Decision to Leave was one of them. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. The way that he describes it was so interesting, and he was like, it is such a fantastic movie, but nobody is going to talk about it. And I thought, well, who is it by? And then Park obviously popped up, and I was like, same guy who does Old Boy. You talked to me about Old Boy. I was like, there's no way he produces one banger and everything else is crap.
Yeah.
So I decided to do this one because Old Boy was so difficult to find anywhere to stream or to rent even.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start with his most recent. I think that would have been his most accessible as well. So that's part of the reason why I chose it.
Okay.
My interest was piqued.
Yeah, I think this movie, or at least I heard about this movie just from some of the cinema pages that I follow, and I saw how the film looked just in general based off of these Instagram posts. And I was like, this film looks beautiful. Like, I saw some of the shots and some scenes that they had posted on Instagram, and I knew about it that way. And then I think I saw a video by Chris Stuckman, and he mentioned it in like one of his like lists.
Was
at
it
the-
like
at the
top
end
10 of the year or something?
something like that?
Yeah.
And he mentioned it and was just like, this film was amazing. It floored me, and all this stuff. And when I had heard that it was also by Park Chan-wook, I was like, okay, that's the guy that did Old Boy. So it's, there's something of merit here because Old Boy is awesome. So it's been on my radar since last year, but again, hadn't had the chance to check it out until now. So
Yeah. I think it was even in theaters around us, and we just I don't know if I ever went.
I
yeah,
don't think I've ever even heard of this movie until you mentioned it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
interesting.
I guess, should I give a little synopsis a little bit? Just because
Yeah,
the way that this movie is set up, it's especially since a lot of the details were lost on me, I've spent a lot of time really trying to parse through the movie rather than sit and type it and write it all out. There are some
Yeah.
standout scenes to me, but it's relatively short in that category. So to give context, basically this movie is, I don't know if we said it, Decision to Leave, 2022, directed by Park Chan-wook, and was it also written by him as well?
I think so.
Yes.
Park Chan-wook
and
and Chung Seo-kyung.
Yes.
Those are the writers. It is basically about I'm going to call him depressed.
He's an insomniac.
Yeah, an insomniac Korean cop. Where are they at? I can't remember.
They are in. It starts with a B. I forget.
Can't remember.
They live in this town.
The,
They live in
the
this
first
city.
town, the first town I don't know, but the second town is like, it's like
Ipo.
Ipo, yeah.
Okay,
They
yes.
moved to Ipo.
Yeah, so he is an insomniac cop. He's actually like, honestly, he is a really good cop.
Yeah.
He's a detective too, right?
Yeah, and he like is a guy that wants justice done
Yes.
by the books.
He's kind of like, he has pride in his work.
Yeah.
And his pride in the justice system.
yeah. He's also
And-
obsessive.
Oh yeah,
Like,
definitely.
He obsesses over his work. I think that's a key note to note whenever you watch this film.
Definitely, I think that's where that is definitely where his insomnia stems from. He comes across this case, which is the centerpiece of our whole movie, of a hiker or a mountain climber who has fallen and died. And they go through this entire story of this guy, of his, it almost seems to be a murder. And when they dive deeper into it, one of the suspects ends up being the hiker's wife. And they dive deep into this wife. They try to figure out where she comes from, all of her background. And all the while doing that, the cop slowly starts to gain some interest in her and starts to see her more as just a suspect. And as they start to unravel each other and kind of mingle closer together, some of the truth starts to show. It's spread.
Yep.
And chaos ensues from there. Deaths ensue from there. So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting story.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah,
But-
definitely.
Yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it. Again, stream it on Movie or rent it. And spoiler warnings. So,
Yes.
yeah, let's hit our first favorite scenes.
It's not until a while.
Yeah, same here. And that's why I kind of wanted to say at the beginning of the episode that this is a movie that I feel you need repeated viewings on to really appreciate it. Because when I also found it hard. I mean, with it being a foreign film, you're watching everything in Korean. So for the people that don't speak Korean, we're reading subtitles. And it's hard for me. Like, I won't say it's hard to watch a movie with subtitles, because it's not. I do it every time I watch a film.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to watch a film in a foreign language with subtitles and also take notes,
Yeah.
because then I have to like rewind back a little bit and
Yeah.
and break the immersion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this portion of it kind of sucks. Like, I hate doing this piece of it, but we make do. And really, I have to say the only scene that really grabbed my attention on that first viewing was the whole switching of the phones scene.
It's fantastic.
And that is not until, like, I want to say, like, 3/4 of the film.
Yeah. Do you have something earlier? I don't know if you've got your mouth open.
That's just crazy far into the movie.
It's far. Well, okay.
Because I'm just looking at stills because I like to look at the stills while we talk about the movie, so I have some context. And there's just some big bro moments that, like,
No, obviously, I have a
yeah.
lot in the bro moment category, but the reason why I love this scene so much is because it kind of did remind me of, like, the grandeur of a scene like I'm thinking of, like, the Peach scene in Parasite.
Yeah.
You know, where, like, all of these small little details are coming together to form this, like, beautiful orchestra.
Yeah.
And,
It's
like,
almost
this huge painting that I have, like, seen all these little pieces get put together. Like, I kind of think of it like whenever, like, you see those Minecraft edits where, like, someone places a block and they,
then
like,
they zoom out.
They
and
zoom
it's
out
like,
and it's like Obama. Like,
I know
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
oh, it's like the Roman Colosseum.
yeah.
It looks fantastic, but up close,
Yeah.
it's
And up close, like, you see all the tiny little details, but once you zoom out, you get the
It's
big
like,
picture, right? And that's what this scene kind of feels like to me, because we get all these tiny little details about how, like, Song, who is the wife in this film, how her husband ended up dying that day. And then we get to see flashbacks happen. And this all happens because Jang, our protagonist, goes up to a granny, which is what they call her.
yeah.
That Song takes care of. She kind of has a daytime job as a care provider for older women.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes up to this woman that she sees, like, every Monday, I think.
Yeah.
And
Could be.
yeah, she goes up to her and or he goes up to her and he starts asking her questions, and eventually decides to look at her phone. And whenever he looks at her phone, he's kind of like snooping around, and he realizes that on the
He sees that
fitness
the app is open.
Yeah, he sees that
Yeah.
the fitness app is open. So he kind of glances over there and scrolls around and sees all these zeros,
Like
and then
no
all of the-
walking, no walking.
Yeah, there's no movement to be had with this woman because, again, she is bedridden. She is locked in her home. She's not doing any sort of activity. And then all of a sudden, we see this 138 flights of stairs climbed
on the Monday.
on a Monday. And so that then causes our detective to kind of look into things.
Like,
and
it's
be
kind of like the biggest epiphany ever.
Yeah.
They're
And
like, he's like, this can't be true.
yeah, so he kind of, looks at the grandma and is like, you've done any hiking recently or gone anywhere? And she, says, I haven't moved from this spot in like 5 years.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
like
I think it's like 10 years. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm not doing any sort of hiking. I'm in no shape to do so. I haven't moved from this spot. And he's like, huh, okay. And then he says, and you said that that song usually comes here on Mondays. And she's like, yeah, I know it's a Monday whenever a song comes because, again, being stuck in this bed, in this spot, you start to lose track of time. But I know that whenever she comes, it's a Monday because it's my favorite time. I get to see her and she, makes my day.
Plays music for me and all
Yep.
that. Yeah.
All that stuff.
And he's like,
And-
say if she came in today, she's like, then it's Monday.
Yeah.
And that's
You know
when
what?
he's like,
And it makes so much sense now because, and again, like Isaiah said, this is a movie you should rewatch
Mhm.
at least 2 or 3 times. And
Right.
I think I would like to rewatch this movie because now, seeing about Monday, earlier in this movie, when they're looking at the body, they zoom in on the watch and it says Monday,
It says Monday.
mm-hmm.
and it just makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that's something that kind of like I want to just applaud to that movie, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
almost.
it's so special because her alibi up to this point has seemed to be clear.
Yep.
Checks off everything. Checks off.
every facet of her
Yes.
alibi is rock solid.
And even when it's a little rocky, she always has a sound explanation for it.
yep.
Like, it always checks out. She seems to be 100% innocent.
Yeah.
I think he even thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And then once this gets revealed, it recontextualizes all of the scenes prior. Like, the granny said that she bought her the same model phone,
Same exact phone.
There, she even had. They're talking about her hands, how they used to be so soft and supple,
And now they're calloused.
and now they're calloused.
rock climbers' hands are calloused.
It
Yeah,
just
they're
it
rough.
all is connecting into a it's like so
It's like this,
beautiful.
like
Yeah.
woven tapestry that you
Yes.
can just look at from afar. Yeah.
Yes. That's why it's one of my favorite scenes, and the way he goes on, it's either the interpretation of what he thinks happened that day or the legit actions of what happened that day.
Yeah.
I think it's the best way to show it.
Yeah.
Because
it
that-
is.
Go ahead. I don't want to talk over you.
I think it's just, to me, has to. I'm gonna say this up front as well. It has to be one of the biggest like not. I don't want to say twist, because the Old Boy's twist is a lot bigger. But this was like,
It's an epiphany. It's
explain epiphany.
it's like it's a realization
Yeah,
that
it's
like
like a-
once you see everything, you're like, oh
Yes,
crap,
yes.
I know what happened. now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, even seeing Jang make the hike, he does the climb himself
Yeah.
with his own phone to see if it's 138 flights of stairs climbed. And by the time he gets up there, he looks at it and he sees he climbed 138 flights of stairs.
It's like it's damning her.
Yep. It's just building and building and building this case against her. And then like once we get to the top of the mountain and he kind of looks at his phone, he just looks so defeated and
Yeah.
he's like, I know what's going on here.
Well,
I
then-
thought that this woman was innocent. She genuinely, made me think that she was, and I started to fall in love with her because of
I was
this.
about to say, we haven't even mentioned that. Like, that's another reason why he's so defeated.
Yeah, because he genuinely started to fall in love with this woman, and whenever he finds out that he's been lied to, that he's been played, that the job that he takes so seriously has now been made a mockery of.
Mm-hmm.
That is, like life changing for this guy.
Shattering, you'd
It shatters his entire universe. You know, like
Yeah.
everything that he thought he knew about this person has just been thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I even loved the scene after whenever he confronts her at her apartment.
It's so good, right?
And he, goes up to her and confronts her about the switching of the phones and says, you said that you bought the exact same model as her. And, eventually just says, like, I think that you switched phones and all of this stuff because why would she have the 138 flights of stairs climbed in that day and then have 0 on all the other days or anything like that? And then he eventually tells Song that he has taken her phone and went and bought the granny another exact replica of her phone and given it to her, and that he now has the only evidence against Song that could potentially put her away for the murder of her husband.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely could.
And he gives it to her and says, throw this in the deepest part of the ocean that you can think of. This cannot see the light of day. You need to get rid of this, and my investigation has been ruined. Like, and I have to live with that. I have to live with the fact that knowing that I didn't do my job correctly here.
Well, because he closed the case,
Mm-hmm.
and after he closed the case, that's when everything is revealed to him.
Right.
And that's I kind of like I feel like she meant to do that intentionally.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
and that's what's so.
A lot of what she does, like, especially, you think that she's helping him with his insomnia by, he's got this wall of unsolved cases that are like, it's kind of gruesome, right?
Yeah.
And she's working through it by taking the things off and burning them.
Mhm.
And
Well,
at
yeah,
the
but-
moment, you think, oh, that's wholesome. She's letting him get over his
Yeah.
stuff. But then
But
when
then you look at it from this aspect, and you're like, she is quite literally burning evidence.
yeah,
Well,
And destroying records
oh,
that is only like benefiting her in
Mhm.
this situation. Like, I even think of like some of the recordings that happen on the smartwatches that they use throughout the film, and how like once Jane gets his hand on a couple of them, she then goes and deletes all the records or something like that to kind of help him with his insomnia, to help him kind of quit thinking about them.
yeah, bull.
Yeah.
The whole
It's crazy.
It is so nice. The whole time we think we have the upper hand because he's a cop. He's got the justice system behind him,
Yep.
and we're just being
And
played.
meanwhile, he is quite literally in the palm of her hand.
Yeah,
He's
and
playing
he's being
checkers,
played.
and she's playing chess.
Yeah.
We're getting played right now.
Yeah, exactly.
checkers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what does he say? This is chess. It ain't checkers.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Even too the way the visualization is so cool because there's like 3 layers of perspective. You get the hiker's perspective because he's making a YouTube tutorial, and he's like, we're gonna go the easy way or the hard way, and I think he decides to go the easy way,
Mhm.
and you see her is like, well, she knew that he was gonna go the easy way, so she's gonna take the hard way, and so we get her perspective of climbing up this thing, and then now we get him of like trying to recreate what she is doing,
Mhm.
and he's struggling, she's struggling, and you see him like get to that ladder area, and when they get to the very top, he's like, this is when she'd do it, and then
Yeah.
you see her going like yeet him off there.
Yep.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
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 When finally when that happened, when you like as I said, when you finally get to see everything put together and
Mhm.
see that it was her, I was mind blown. I
Yeah.
was like, this is
Yeah. And that's why I kind of like to draw the comparison of the peach scene in Parasite, where like you watch all of this orchestrated chaos happen, and then by the end of the scene you have the dad pulling up the bloody napkin and being like, she's got tuberculosis. But it's this whole orchestrated thing that whenever you are watching all of these small little details happen, and then they play out amongst like right before your eyes,
Yeah.
you are like, I can't believe this is actually happening.
just
you
makes
know? Like, this is
yeah,
so
it
good.
makes so much
And,
sense. It's
yeah,
just-
I can only draw the comparison there between these two films.
Yeah.
It also makes me want to make the comparison of like a murder board when you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
I think of that meme of what's his name, Charlie Day, and It's Always
He's
Sunny
going-
in Philadelphia. No, and it's the guy looking at the murder board, and he's like, Like looking at the thing, you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have to say, unfortunately, that was the only favorite scene that I wrote down on my viewing that I did of this film. So
Yeah, I was gonna say the craziest thing about the scene we just talked about is that it's pretty much like halfway.
yeah,
There's quite a bit more. I mean, he is defeated. He's shattered
yeah,
pretty much. He decides to move it this way. I think he even like, I don't know if he goes on like a sabbatical or something, but he leaves with his wife to a whole different city.
yeah. They move.
They move.
And this was another point of contention in their relationship because she worked in a completely different town than what Jang did.
Yeah.
And I think Jang ends up moving to where his wife currently lives and where she works.
Yeah.
And it sucks for him because whenever he moves, he's like, nothing happens in this town. I'm going to be a cop here and I'm going to solve like, petty theft.
Yeah.
And like,
It's like kind of
write, traffic tickets.
yeah,
And stuff
the
like
boring
that.
stuff.
There's nothing of substance here. Whenever I lived in my other city, there was like, I was a detective. I was working to like solve murder cases and like
getting in fist fights
like
with people,
yeah,
shooting
chasing people,
chain grab and put a chainmail glove on.
Yeah.
Telling me, dude, seeing that was so cool.
That was
I
so
I wear one at work sometimes.
chainmail glove to grab a knife and
Dude,
that is so
that is so
Yeah.
smart. I would have never thought about that. I'm start carrying one.
that's so cool, man.
yeah. But now
You gotta wear it under your shirt.
He's been reduced to that.
Just-
He's been reduced from that to again like being like a desk jockey, and he's finding like no fulfillment in his
Yeah.
work. And then all of a sudden,
Who does he run into?
Yeah, he's at a
Stupid.
meat market one day, and he sees Song,
Yeah.
and she looks different. She's got dyed hair, nice clothes, and she's with another man. We come to find out she got married again.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the movie again.
Mm-hmm.
But there's almost this.
There's this tension, but with
There
Jang,
is.
where he's like, "I know what you did,
It's my mission,
and it is my mission to like make sure that you don't do it again."
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's crazy to see because it's almost like a little bit of resentment too. 'cause
It's
he's-
almost like, and to me, you said the same movie. It's almost like this first one, but better.
agree.
yeah,
I'd have to agree.
yeah.
Because again,
the second half,
yeah.
second half really does
Picks
shine.
up,
and
man.
you say, like you said, there's that resentment, it's knowing that you did something, and I know that you did it, and I'm not gonna let you get away with it. And
Mhm.
having that knowledge,
Mhm.
and him, well, we haven't even said it, but her husband eventually dies again,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
but then she's innocent this time. She ends up not killing him.
yeah,
Right.
The guy that gets it, his mom gets defrauded by her husband.
Was
is
the guy who
is the
did
guy
it.
that goes and stabs him a couple of times. She does, however, come out and say that she did like what's it called whenever you like
move the body.
is it like aiding and abetting, like murder or something like that, where like you facilitate it?
It's a assisted suicide. I think.
Yeah,
Is
or
that what you're talking about?
you facilitate the murder, like you
I
pulled
think
the
it's
strings and
aiding
everything.
and abetting.
You like pulled the strings for everything to happen, but you didn't actually do the act. You
And
know?
well, she had done that by killing the grandma, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that caused the guy
Yeah,
to get pissed at homeboy because not only did his mom get defrauded by the husband, she now also died.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I'm getting revenge.
Didn't he like
somehow.
try to invest in them?
Mhm.
And he took all the money and
And
Yeah.
she was
didn't do
like,
crap?
should I destroy things with like the Chinese? Or she said something like that,
Mm.
I think. But yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
that's crazy. I would not know that knowledge, that terminology.
Mm.
Yeah, she definitely was pulling the strings every which way in this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I mean,
Burning
even
the freaking dress that she was in, that
Yep.
picture of her going,
yep.
Can I talk about that real quick about the dress? And we see, cause it's also a bro moment because. Yeah, I want to talk about it. We see her wear that dress, and they zoom into like the pearls and stuff.
Yeah.
For some reason, did you think that those were the fentanyl pills?
oh.
No.
I never thought
They're
of that.
around the same color.
That's why I
But
thought. That's why I
no.
thought I saw them because they were missing,
Mm.
and then it would only make sense because she had two on each cuff.
Okay.
I didn't think of that. No, I did not think of that.
Because they focused on it.
Yeah, I think it's only to draw the conclusion
Of the color.
of the color, right?
Yeah, I realize that now.
Yeah, because Jang
He's like,
vividly
is it
sees like,
blue?
is it
green?
It's green whenever he first
It's like
sees
a bluish screen.
But
yeah.
then whenever they get that picture of her throwing the phone
It's-
into the ocean, they're like, oh no, look, it's blue
Yeah.
here. And so now he's like, okay, where is this dress that you had? Oh, you burned it in a barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So again, she's like not only further like she's not helping herself to try to like prove her innocence in this situation, but it's also like she's getting some sort of fulfillment in this situation because now Jang is coming around again, and he is like, he has a reason to talk to her. He has a reason to be in this woman's life again because things have gone awry
That's
once
toxic.
again, you know. And yeah, that is toxic. If a woman is killing people just so that way you can come around, you shouldn't be near that woman.
It's a red flag. It's a red
Because guess
flag.
what?
Red
Guess
flag.
what? Sooner or later, she's gonna yak.
You, but
Yeah.
she's tired of you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna end up like her other husbands.
yeah. All right. Any other favorite scenes here or anything like that before we dive into further
You
categories?
is the bro moment part of the ending for you guys, or do you want to?
It is for me.
Okay, then we'll talk about it then.
Okay.
Because that's pretty much what I got from this film is just this like back and forth between someone who seemed innocent is no longer. How
Yeah.
can you find her guilty?
Yeah,
you know?
honestly, my strings were kind of pulled because I was kind of rooting for her to be innocent. Because I was like, that'd be kind of cool. Like, this cop does seem
Yeah.
depressed. In the beginning of this movie, you get to see his wife is like, you know, if I don't have relations with you, it leads to divorce. Like, she's hinting to divorce.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like, all right, man, you get your new woman. Like, I was rooting for this guy.
Yeah.
And then you see this, you get all the strings are like
They
attached
start- they
again.
start
and
aligning.
you start lining up, and you're just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I was hoping for a good love story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see this.
It turns
So-
into something
It's
devastating.
it's a tragic.
Yeah,
love
it's a
story.
tragedy. But yeah, if that's it for favorite scenes, then let's move into best quote. I wrote down a couple that I did like, and one of them that I did really like that I had to like go back and pause because when we looked on IMDb, there's like 3 quotes,
zero.
that
yeah.
like people have attributed to the film. But this one I really liked actually, and it's at a moment where Jang is he's like staked out with his partner, and they're like looking in someone's apartment with binoculars and stuff. And I think in this moment actually they're watching Song care for Granny, and his partner says something to the effect of like, she can't be grieving or something like that. Look at her, she's already back at work, and her husband just died like a couple of days ago. And Jang says something to the effect of, if grief envelops some like a crashing wave, there are some who experience it slowly, like ink in water. And I was like, ooh, that was a good line. And I, went back a couple times, wrote down what he said. And then I even laughed afterwards because his partner was like, hey, whenever you write a poetry book, let me know so that way I can be somewhat accredited to having to listen to all your bull crap all the time. I like that
sounds like a scholar.
Yeah, but I like that the movie is self-aware enough to where, like, if you and I were ever in a situation where somebody said something like that so profound, we would be like, look at this guy, over here, and, like, make fun of him or something, or, like, point our attention to the fact that, like, this guy's trying to be deep. We wouldn't let it slide, like, for lack of a better term. But, yeah, I really liked that quote here.
There was a moment where I can't remember exactly right now the context of it, but I think they're challenging each other, and Jang says to her, "Am I such a pushover?" And she replies to him, "Am I so wicked?"
Ooh.
And I was like, "Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff."
Yeah.
I didn't write anything out. I'm not gonna be honest. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. I'm not
Okay.
going to be honest. All right. Another one that I wrote down comes from Jang as well. And he says something to the effect of murder and talking about killing with his new partner in IPO. And he says, killing is like smoking. Only the first time is hard.
Right.
Yeah. I liked that. And then the obvious quote at the end of it, which is one that I did get to pull from IMDb, comes from Song. And I think these are her last words, if I'm not mistaken. It's not obviously not her last moment on screen, but her last words. And she's on the phone with Jang right before she is about to go to the beach. And she says to Jang while he's on the phone, "The moment you said that you loved me, your love was over. The moment your love ended, my love began."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why can't it be easy?
Yeah. And I feel like that quote really just envelops the film. You know, where it's like you have that thing that you wanted, and then or like it's that situation where like you liked a girl and she didn't like you at the time, and then you moved on, and then
And
you
now
find
she's
out
like-
now she's like, "Oh, I like you." And you're like, you've already moved on. At that
Yeah.
point, you're like, "Dude, why didn't you tell me like 3 months ago or something? And we could have made something work." But now I'm on to bigger and better things now.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Oh,
kind of like that, like, oh, what could have been, you know. But yeah, that's about it for best quotes for me.
Yeah, me as well.
Okay, all right, let's get into bro moments then.
All right.
My first one was whenever we get to the murder scene, and we see what happened with the hiker or the mountain climber, and we see like the ants on his like eye
gosh.
and stuff. Like just seeing that, I was like, ooh man, that's hard to look at. But then whenever they they climb up the mountain with homeboy strapped to
And
his back,
homeboy's like,
yeah. I was laughing at that part real hard. I thought it was super funny. And I like that Jang is like so committed to doing his job correctly that he was like, "We're detectives. We got to do this right. We're climbing up this mountain, and I'm gonna do it with you or without you."
Mhm.
And he eventually ends up strapping him to his back, and they just sit there with that little like
Dude, that device
like
is
little
so
like
cool.
pulley machine where it just like propels them up the mountain so that way they can get up all the way to the top. Yeah, I enjoyed that scene. I thought it was funny.
I thought that scene was a moment just because because of the ants, and then you get like a shot where you see his eyes, and it's like cloudy, and I think it's like blood vessels like
Yeah.
popped, and it's just like you get a shot like it's through his vision,
Mm-hmm.
It
And
looks
it-
weird.
and
Yeah.
it looks like I'm looking at the still right now.
And it looks like you are the dead person
And it
looking
looks
up
like
at
you are-
Jang.
like that's what you'd see.
Yeah.
That's what you would see if you were the dead person.
Yeah.
And it's so weird, and
Yeah.
I kind of cringed because I was like, oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like even seeing
And that's like one of the things that I really did enjoy about this film was the like the slick editing and transitions and cool shots. Like there are so many like cool but meaningful shots, and the way that things are positioned in certain scenes, and like it's again so much attention to detail that like it makes me want to just sit here and dissect every little piece of the film. And I love it. It's so creative. Like I'm thinking of certain shots where like I'm thinking of the one where you see the X-ray of his hand.
Yeah, and it
And
transitions.
like it
to him
transitions to his hand, and you see the skeleton, like the X-ray, like move, and you also see his hand kind of fade in as he's doing it.
going weird.
Or like I'm thinking of like slick little editing cuts where like Song will talk about like she's trying to get him to go to sleep, and she's like, imagine you're a jellyfish and you're in the ocean, you're weightless, you can't feel anything, and then it cuts to Jang and his wife going to a doctor, and what's behind him on the screen?
a jellyfish.
Jellyfish moving around, and he can't stop but sit there and stare and think about Song and what she told him about being a jellyfish and trying to relax.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff like that. Gotta really love it, at least whenever it comes to that amount of attention to detail.
Yeah,
here.
for sure. My next bro moment isn't until they they finally find the guy. They find this guy that they've been searching for. I think he's like a murderer or something. I forget that fool's name. He's like that gang guy that
Yeah.
like towards the beginning, and they've ended up. Oh no, or is this a different guy? It's
the guy that stabs the
Yeah. No. This is
His
the
partner.
no. That's a bro moment for sure. But this is the one when he brings out the chainmail glove.
That's the same guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. This
He
is
gets
the whole
stabbed
chase
there?
scene. His
Yeah.
partner does. His
Yeah.
partner.
Oh, I thought that
he-
was the second one. The second chase. That's
No.
the first chase.
No, that's the first one.
Okay, then
Is
that's
it?
where my bro moment starts.
Yeah, because
Homeboy getting stabbed.
he gets stabbed and then keeps trying to run and he can't do it. So
Yeah,
then
yeah,
he,
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
the other guy goes.
Jane goes.
Yeah, the whole
That whole scene's crazy.
Well, the only reason I say that is because isn't that the scene too where his partner's going up and then like is laying? Is that he gets stabbed and that's
Yeah.
why he can't make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just thought that he was like
Out of
not
breath.
fit. Yeah,
No.
physically.
Maybe.
No, we're talking about two different scenes.
Are we?
I think we
Yes.
are.
Because he, when he's like running up the thing, he and
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Because
he
it's
has
at
the gun.
nighttime.
He has the gun, and I remember a specific quote. He goes, "Next time, why have a gun when we're not going to use it? If you're not going to run, I'll just win, not
Because
make
you're
it,
out of shape or
and you're
whatever.
out of shape, and I can make it, and I have the knife."
Yes, I am mixing the two.
Mm.
I remember because he gets stabbed and then throws the gun to him, and that's so it is the
Yeah.
second one. But he gets all the way up there, and the guy pulls out this knife for the first chase scene, and then the fool is like, "Oh dang it, all right." And he pulls out this chainmail glove, and I love this scene for no reason other than it's BA. It is
Yeah.
so sick. The guy goes to stab him, he grabs the blade, and then there's just like, blah, blah, blah.
Let go of the knife,
Yeah.
and he doesn't let go of the knife. Boom, boom. Let go of the knife.
Yeah.
It is so satisfying.
Yeah.
I thought of this
Isn't
as a
it-
different bro, the same scene, but a completely different bro moment. I thought I was bro moment that the girl was stalking him.
Yeah, I was gonna
Ooh,
say
true.
whenever Song is watching
That-
him beat up the guy.
Like that. That is a bro moment. That is a good bro moment. But I was like, why is she paying attention to where they're going? And then she shows up, and then she follows him, and is watching him. And so that kind of led me to be like, oh, she likes him. Like
Yeah.
that's what kind of started me like rooting for her.
Mm.
And then it also kind of made me laugh is she put her emergency lights on.
She couldn't make it more obvious that she
Yeah.
has stopped watching
Yeah.
this guy right now. Yeah.
Eyes open.
Yeah, another bro moment for me is a little earlier into the film whenever Song initially starts getting questioned about her husband's death, and she's like not shocked about it at all. Like shows like no sort of like grief or sadness toward it or anything like that. And I don't know, it was just one of those things where
What does she say? She says like it was like about time or something. She says something.
Yeah, she's like very callous about it, and it immediately it throws you off because you're like, this guy's supposed to be your husband, you know, like you.
But the way that she explains why she said it covers her story.
Yeah, it makes sense because
She
she
says-
would get hit and
Yes.
like all of this stuff. And
She would get hit, and then she was like, anytime he would
Oh,
go mountain
yes.
climbing, and if he doesn't respond, I just expect he's
I
dead.
just expect that he's dead because like he does it so often, and it's the stuff that he does is dangerous.
And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it just made that made
Yeah, I forgot the little like cut
Yep.
on her hand is not
Yeah.
from her. It's really from him falling. Trying to.
Yep.
God,
but
so
she said it was like the granny or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
something dumb.
Yeah. Or I even put out another promo whenever we find out that Song killed her own mother
Yeah.
with the fentanyl.
But the mother wanted to.
I know, but it's still
It
a
is
bro
still
moment.
It's like the
It's still
physician
crazy.
assisted suicide stuff.
Yeah.
It's still there's like a gray area kind of.
Yeah.
there,
That
'cause
is
you're
still
killing
crazy.
someone, but they're asking
but they're
you to
asking
do it.
you. Yeah.
And she was also a caregiver at the time, so it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
you have that. You know, there's like that whole doctor code or whatever. That what is it like? You shall harm.
NDA
No,
or-
you shall harm no patients. Like that's
Yeah.
their motto.
Yeah, they have to like abide by those set of
What's
rules,
what's
or
that
else
called?
you get sued for like malpractice.
What's it called? It's like their mantra or something, where it's like, "We shall harm no patients."
I don't know.
It comes up in, again, talks of like physician assisted suicide because people are like, my job is to
It's
heal
to,
you.
Yeah, to actively not harm you.
Yeah, and
And if you're asking me to kill you, that's going against what I've set out to do.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like being a doctor is different, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just what reminds me of that.
First, do no harm.
That's a rule, right?
Yeah, it says an important step in becoming a doctor. Medical students must take a Hippocratic oath, and one of the promises within the oath is first do no harm, or prenum non. I don't know how to say it. It's a Latin translation from the original Greek. First do no harm.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's the word I was looking for is oath.
Yeah. What about next bro moment for me is that dude killing himself on the rooftop.
Yeah.
That's
we don't
where,
even
that's
really
where,
see it, though.
That's
where
where
homie
homeboy
gets
gets stabbed.
Yes. We don't
Yeah.
really see it. Does he shoot himself?
I don't
No,
think
I
so.
don't
I
think
think
he
he
shoots
jumps
him.
off.
I think all the blood is from he getting shot in the knee, and then I think he stabs
Yeah. So
himself in
Jang
the
shoots
neck.
him, right?
Yeah. I think he stabs himself.
I
if
think
I'm
he stabs
honest
himself.
with you.
I think he stabs himself in the neck,
And then he falls off.
But does Jang shoot him first?
Yeah, on the
He
knee.
does shoot him in the knee.
Okay, because that happened kind of like out of nowhere. It
Mhm.
felt like I was like, why did he shoot him there? He wasn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But he was I think he tried to do that to deter him from
From jumping.
jumping or stabbing himself.
Yes. I think so too.
Um,
Yeah, and his homegirl was down there watching.
and he was like, "You don't have to don't die." Like, you could tell right here because he was in love with
Yeah.
her. He was basically what's her name, Song.
Mm-hmm.
He would do anything for this girl,
Yeah. He just kept saying, "Tell her that I love her."
and
And he was like, "You can tell her yourself. Like we don't need to do this."
yeah, I have one of my brothers is what's his how do you say our main character's name?
Let's just call him Jang.
Jang almost getting caught up by his wife because he smelled like cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I thought I was rooting for love because I thought it was gonna be a love story, you know, and that he's been around Song, so
Isn't that so
she-
funny?
she's smoking, and he even helps her
Yep.
and he's an ex-smoker,
Yep.
and
Important
she,
detail. He
and-
quit.
and his wife and him are cooking, and she's like, and smells him.
She's like a dog too. Which how
Yeah.
she
and
does? She's
she
like,
was like, I knew it. I knew you started smoking. And then the way he covers, he goes, I don't know his coworker's name. He's, oh, he always smokes. And
Yeah. He always smokes around me. I try to tell him to stop, but he
and plays it
never
off.
listens.
And I thought that was a bro moment because I was like, bro, you're about to get caught up.
Yeah.
But then I also didn't care if he got caught up.
Yeah.
I was ruining. She hated him.
Yeah.
You could tell she hated him.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
tough. We hardly get the dynamics of their relationship.
Yeah.
Like a couple scenes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Another bro
And
moment.
to me, it seems like he's the problem.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
think
yeah.
he's the problem? Yeah.
From
think
what
so.
we
I
see,
mean,
I mean,
he's-
Yeah,
he's
wait,
like
he's an insomniac. Yeah, of course he's the problem.
I mean,
distant
he's
and-
obsessed with his work. He's distant, but also she is as well. She's not willing to move from her job or anything like that to live closer to her husband.
That's true.
You know, they both have something at play here.
Yeah.
You know, they're no one's innocent in the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a bro moment because I'm gonna mention it because everything hadn't clicked yet to me. And is when he finally says that he loves her
Mm.
and she records the conversation. I thought it was a big bro moment that she recorded the conversation because I was like, why is she recording this conversation? There's no need for her to record this
Mhm.
conversation. Like, everything, the case is closed. He's not gonna do anything against you.
Mhm.
Like, you guys are going your separate ways. So when she recorded that conversation, I was like, something big's gonna happen.
Mm.
And I mean, and it does mean that's a big significant thing that we need further on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something she listens to over and over and over again.
Yeah. And it blew my mind towards the end of the film. I don't want to jump too far ahead because I know we probably still got more bro moments here. But it blew my mind whenever she's on the phone with him and she was like, she tells him, like, I can't believe you told me you loved me.
He's like,
And he was like, when? And like, even me as a viewer, I was like,
I've totally
I was
forgot
like,
when.
he never said the words "I love you,"
yeah,
but it wasn't him saying it; it was his actions
showing it.
showing that he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that recording was proof for her that he did in fact love her, even though he never said it.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever
dude.
that clicked for me, I was just like, "Oh man!" Like, you may have never actually physically said it, but you know, 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 you she could tell, and
It's like-
and vice versa. You could as well. You know.
Yeah,
So.
it's like when you like hear this like one song, or you like someone says these words, and you're just like, "Oh, bro, I remember that."
Yeah,
like
it's
just
a trigger for you.
yeah, oh yeah, it's a trigger.
Yeah.
And that when she hears those, she's like, "I know he loves me."
Yeah. He would do anything for me. He would destroy an investigation for me.
He did. He did destroy an investigation for me.
Yeah.
A dumb bro moment that I put down was she wearing those pills?
Mm.
Because I saw them and I was like, bruh, she's wearing them? Like, that's where they are.
A second watch might confirm or deny that.
Yeah. Another one for me, whenever he shares all of his stakeout recordings with her, like whenever he is like fully closing the case and decides like, oh yeah, here, I'll show you all of the recordings that I was like doing
Of
whenever
you.
I was watching you.
Gosh.
And she
Kind
starts
of embarrassing. I
yeah, and
feel
she
like.
starts listening in on all of it, and there's like moments where like he starts to get like intimate and starts thinking like, I wish I could be there, like type thoughts, you know. And she's sitting there hearing it. Like, my immediate thought was like, yo, this is part of like a legal investigation that could put someone in jail for the rest of their lives, and you're sharing it with the suspect.
Yeah.
That is the most sus thing I've ever heard. Like that's like
That's the
you
worst
don't-
of the worst.
You don't do that. Like you don't give your suspect any of your evidence, so that at that point they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, let's think of some way to get around this evidence or explain it away or something
Yeah.
like that. And this guy is so blinded by his attraction for this girl that he is just like, oh yeah, here's all this evidence that I had against you and all this stuff. Let's burn it.
Yeah.
Let's destroy it all. Like, insane. It's crazy.
Yeah. Blows my mind. My next one's not till the second husband dies.
Mm. Yeah.
And just seeing I like the bro moment happens when he gets stabbed. Or you see his body like has a bunch of stab wounds in the
It's all,
pool, just
propped up.
propped up. At first I thought it was gonna be in the same position of the hiker guy, how he was down there. But no, he was positioned. And the reasoning for the positioning I think is like absurdly wholesome.
Yeah.
Because she's like
I didn't want Jang to get
Well, yeah.
grossed out by all the blood.
well,
Yeah.
he tells her like the one thing is the blood. I can't stand the smell, and she
Yeah.
remembers that and is
Yeah.
like, "This pool is full of blood. I'm
Let's
gonna
drain
drain it, clean it, and then move the guy so he doesn't have to deal with it."
Does
Yeah.
she kill him?
No.
He wakes up.
Oh, I don't
No,
think.
He opens his eyes and she notices.
I don't remember.
does she kill him?
Maybe the
Bro.
final blow. Maybe I don't know.
I know I'm not tweaking. She opens his eyes, and that's why, because when she is scrubbing and all the blood and he's propped up there, he opens his eyes.
Mm.
Also, who? It had to have been her, right? Because she drags the body and props him up. If it was the other guy,
No, she didn't kill him initially. It was for sure the other guy.
Oh, yeah. So she got home and he
She
was
got
in the
home
pool.
and he was in the pool, props him up, and then she does all that stuff for Jang because he doesn't like the blood. And then when she's scrubbing the blood, he's like this and just goes, and she notices.
Does that happen?
I don't remember.
I
can't-
swear.
I wish I could remember.
I swear, bro.
You cannot find a still of that. That's too specific.
True.
You're gonna have to rent it again.
Like it's at this scene. During this right here. I swear his
He
eyes
is
opens
dead,
up.
bro.
No, he's not.
What do you mean he's not dead? He's like gray.
I know he looks gray.
He's dead.
I don't remember.
Bro, let me see if I can still have my Apple
In my
TV.
expert forensic opinion, dead.
Yeah.
He's not dead. I will defend myself and say I think she killed him, bro.
Are you gonna rent it right now?
I think I'm gonna see if I still have access to it.
Go to movie.
No, I did it on Apple TV,
Oh, true,
homeboy.
true, true.
All right. Well, while you're looking that up, I'll talk about my last bro moment, which of course is the ending.
The ending is just wild.
Devastating.
I still have access to it.
All right. We'll look at
We'll
it
look at it when we're
after.
done.
But yeah, the ending is just absolutely devastating. And so through a series of events, we end up finding out that Song has a tracking app that got installed on her phone by the guy that murdered her husband, her second husband. And Jang takes that into effect and starts using it and notices that she's like driving along the ocean and stuff. So he starts trying to follow her. I'm forgetting why he's trying to follow her exactly, if I'm honest with you. I think
they reopened the case.
Yeah, I
didn't
think
they?
because they reopened the case and he's trying to catch her to bring her in.
They
now.
finally have enough to bring the
Evidence to
charges.
convict her. And so he's trying to get to her, and he has this tracking app. She's driving along the ocean, and they're on the phone with one another, and they start having this conversation, and that's where we get that quote that I talked about where she says, "The moment that your love ended for me, my love began." And she starts talking about how, oh, I can't believe that you told me you loved me. And he's like, I never did. And that's when we find out, like, oh, it was your actions that spoke louder than you ever actually physically saying it. And we watch Song, like, park her car and walk to this beach and dig this hole and then, like, get in it and just sit there.
In the waves.
And then the waves eventually just kind of just
slowly
get coming and coming and coming. And high tide eventually comes and buries Song underground and drowns her. And she eventually, like, just kills herself right then and there. The waves end up coming in, filling in the hole. And because it's high tide, all that sand is getting moved. So not only is she being drowned, but she's also being buried right then and there.
So it's hard.
And
He's
so,
never gonna find her.
like, no one is ever going to find Song. She, as far as everyone else is aware, she has disappeared off the face of the earth. No one will ever know.
Yeah.
And one of the devastating parts about this whole scene is that whenever she ends up leaving her phone in the car, so that way it ends up staying there. When Jang pulls up, he recognizes, oh, her phone is here. She is obviously not here. She's probably somewhere else.
She's got the recording of him.
Yeah, and she has the recording of me saying that, I was perfectly okay with throwing away evidence and turning a blind eye to evidence that would convict her of murder. And she's the only one that has that recording.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find this woman so I can guarantee my safety and bring this woman to justice. And now he cannot find her, and he's searching, all over this beach. And then we get this wide shot where we know where Song was, and it, like, even shows, like, little shots where, like, the waves will come, and as the water is pulling away, like, you see little whirlpools and stuff where, like, just this puddle is forming here, and her body is right there. And you see a wide shot of him coming over and walking literally over her and all around her, calling her name, not knowing where it is that she'll be or anything like that. And then the film ends. And it ends in such a devastating way. And it was one of those things where I just, like, wanted to reach into the screen and be like, she's under you, dude. Like, she's not here anymore. She's gone. This sucks.
Yeah,
and
but
I
still,
won't be able to tell you. But
the fact that and I don't think he'll ever get to find her.
oh no one's ever finding
And I think
her.
that's another devastating part is, like, he's never gonna have closure.
Yeah, but no, that's the thing. I think so. In the same way that he is so obsessed with solving those unsolved cases, she now is an unsolved case.
So he's obsessed with her.
So that's only going to grow his love for her, So, like, in the end, she kind of has the last laugh,
yeah.
And, like, while her love began whenever his ended, hers is going to end. Like, she's obviously loving this person so much to the point where she's going to kill herself.
Mm-hmm.
So she left loving him as much as she possibly could, but now he's going to live his whole life. He's never going to have a waking moment where he doesn't think about her because he is so obsessed with his work and so now in love with this person because he cannot find them and he will not stop thinking about them because of this. Yeah. It's crazy.
Crazy ending, man.
Crazy ending, yeah.
Yeah. To say the least, that's for sure. All right, if that's it for Bro Moments, let's move into some facts with the bros.
Okay.
Yeah, let me hit you with the budget real quick. And to make this movie, it took $10 million, which I kind of thought was insane. It seems kind of a lot to me. To opening weekend, it made $96,200. Gross for U.S. and Canada made $2.1 million. Gross worldwide made $22.5 million.
Nice.
So you could probably tell this is a foreign film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I feel like it's not going to get a lot of revenue from North America.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think it made. Of course, it made its money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a flop.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
I had actually seen too that the inspiration for this film was actually from a Swedish crime novel series called The Story of a Crime by authors. I'm gonna butcher these names. They're Swedish, so it's like Maj Schwal and Per Walu. I don't know how to pronounce it, but apparently the series follows this aging police detective named Martin Beck, and they're also known for their social critique towards the police and things of that nature. And Park's pitch towards the film and his inspiration from the series was, what if Martin Beck fell in love with one of his suspects? And then took that idea further and developed it into the film that we saw.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
One of the aspects of this film that I really enjoyed was the cinematography and how sometimes you would see characters looking through their phones,
Mm-hmm.
and you almost see like they're typing and all that, but it's these very interesting angles that he pulls. Apparently he didn't like the idea of using many text messages in the film,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I was like, wait, what? He had said that he considered making it a period piece where instead of texting, they write handwritten notes to each other.
Oh, okay.
So I can only imagine how he would have decided to shoot that. But once he had decided to make it contemporary with phones and all that, he had a little bit more freedom to use texting and also use the voice assisted watch,
Yeah.
Which
he
I
was
think
talking
actually
to with the voice
works.
memos.
yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think we're gonna talk about. I think it works so good.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and actually
Also with the translation apps too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
that-
say that
that.
too as well. Where there is a language divide. That Song is Chinese while Jang is Korean, and Song's Korean, like she says, is not the best.
Yeah. What's that quote?
It's a
Friggin-
repeated line where she
says my Korean's not the best.
yeah, she says another word, but yeah, and so like the use of those translations apps ends up helping in the long run, so that way they can better understand one another in certain situations and stuff.
So
But in regards to actually like cell phones and technology that gets used in the film, Park Chan-wook had said that he used like cell phone POV shots to show that the characters are not only looking at the screens of their devices, but also to give a sense that they're actually looking at the other person. So like the cell phone POVs where like it's looking like
Through
we
the
are in the
glass.
phone,
Yeah.
like through the glass. It's supposed to be like a mirror of like we are actually looking at the other person on the other side of the phone. You know? So like when we're in the phone, I'm in Song's perspective and I'm looking at Jang as he's texting this or something, or vice versa.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Any other facts here?
The one that I have, which I thought was kind of cool, and I might butcher this word, so Nick, help me out, is the widow's wallpaper appears to be in both waves and seas and mountains. It's a
Dichotomy.
dichotomy repeated, symbolized throughout the film, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. You think about the ideas of like it's just like war and peace.
Mm-hmm.
Two completely opposing ideas.
Exactly.
Just showcased in that way.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that hits on the Confucius quote that Song says earlier in the film, where she says like there's a saying that Confucius said where like the wise love the sea while the benevolent love the mountains, or flop 'em. But that theme just drives the film so much more forward, because like in certain scenes we see that Song is obviously an ocean person. She is, she loves jellyfish. She even her wallpaper, you had said, was, you know, wallpapers of what looks like waves and the ocean and stuff like that. And eventually she ends up dying in the ocean because of it, right?
Mhm.
And then you got a man like Jang who like revels in finality and like wants things to be solid and doesn't want things to be moved, right? Like he wants to be able to point to something and be like, this is what that is, and there is no changing that.
Mhm.
So he's a mountain guy, you know. He loves the rock solid nature of something like a mountain, right? And even whenever he tries to make himself think that he's a sea guy, what does his wife do? His wife says like, you are not an ocean guy. You were born in downtown Seoul. Like, there's nothing about you that can be an ocean guy because you are just not that. That is not in your nature, right? And it's just that those images alongside that quote just push together this narrative that like these people are on two complete different ends of the spectrum.
Not meant to be together.
And they are not meant to be together. But it is that it's that form of like opposites attract that is making them want to be together. Like they are so different from one another that they think they're alike.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I know that might kind of be hard to wrap your head around, but they are feeling that in this situation.
Mhm.
And because of that, they are falling in love with one another. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's just something that would never work. And again, whenever you are in love, all caution gets thrown to the wind, you know, and nothing matters because you want to, you know, follow that through. And we make dumb decisions whenever that happens. So,
Very true.
all right, any other facts here?
That's it for me.
Okay, well, let's get into what didn't work. For me, I think a slow burn,
Yeah.
This is
personally.
a slow burn.
It is very
And
slow.
I'm more a fan of slower burn movies. I don't mind whenever things are slow. But I don't know what it was about this one. I felt particularly that it was slow, and I know it's bad whenever I check my display and see how much of the film is left.
Yeah.
Because that is telling me that like
This should be done.
this
It
should
should-
be done.
yeah.
Like this feels like it should be done by now. Or like something is dragging here.
Yeah.
You know. And I don't know. There were a lot of points where it had me intrigued, more often than not. But I don't know. There's just some points in the film where it feels like it drags a little bit. And I definitely agree with you guys in saying that the second half of the film feels so much better than
Yeah.
the first.
And I think that's why it doesn't work. Is because I think the second half could be a movie in itself.
Mm. But
And you can build it off of the first one.
But that's the thing, is that you wouldn't have that second half without the first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and
But-
so it is essential in that aspect. But I don't know if there's maybe a way to make it more
Speedier.
I don't know.
interesting.
I
or-
wasn't-
or
yeah.
more attention grabbing or something like that. I don't know.
I wasn't too fond of literally the whole first half is just like them getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I didn't really connect with their relationship very much either, so
Yeah.
it was kind of like
And I think there's something to be said too about the subtlety of
yeah, it was definitely lost.
of their relationship and their acting. Like it's very like very tiny, minuscule things where like, you know, somebody will say something about liking sushi or something like that.
Yeah.
And the other person will just be like a little smile, and you're supposed to take that as like, oh, they like each other now.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, it just looked like she liked what he said. You know, like,
dude, you talk about that, it makes so much sense.
yeah, like there's so much subtlety within the acting, and while I do think that can be really important in a story to have subtlety, I don't know, it was lost on me, I think. And I think this is why it's essential to have another viewing of the film.
Yeah.
Knowing all of this and then going back into it, I feel like will probably make me appreciate it more.
I agree. I just think it's just too complicated, really. I think the story it's just too complicated. It kind of really muddies a lot of what it's going for. I think it's just like especially at the beginning leaves me feel leaves me feeling kind of like, what is happening? Who is what's going on? While I like some of the transitions, some of the styles, it's like I specifically think of a scene where the camera starts on one side of the person and then it goes like shifting sides, but as it's shifting sides, it's like a whole different scene on the other side. But this scene wasn't concluded yet, so when it gets to here, I'm like, what is is this a different day?
Yeah.
I don't understand where we are in the story, and let alone not knowing. Like, dude, when we get introduced, I don't know these characters. It's already in a foreign language. They're talking about other characters that I have no freaking clue. It was just so hard to get latched on.
Yeah.
And I was like, where is this going? And then when it finally got to the interview scene, I was like, okay, this is something more
Tangible.
something that I can really start to figure out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it was too complicated for its own good, and it hindered my enjoyment. And there's a saying of, it's everything is as good as the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's like that for this movie. I think a lot of the parts are great. You got fantastic acting, fantastic cinematography, fantastic score, all that stuff. But just when they come together, at the very end of it, I'm left just...
It's too rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's it should be a little bit more subdued.
Yeah. It was lost on me. It really was. And it's something that will, I think, be fixed with more watches. But the first one, I was just kind of left feeling not connected to any character,
Okay.
I think I want to kind of pick back off of you. This is not an easy watch. I don't think this is a movie that you can put on and just relax and just, be like, I think it's hard for the normal viewer.
Okay.
I would think so, because I would consider myself a normal viewer with a little bit of advancement, I guess. I don't know how to say it, and it took a lot for me to understand this movie.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. Maybe
It's just you gotta pay attention.
I know the feeling I had, but
yeah, no, I get you. Once everything hit, and you finally got everything, it makes sense, and then that's why I think you need to watch it again. And that's why I think it's not an easy watch, because what if you don't want to watch a movie the second time around to understand it?
Yeah, there are just some extremely high highs, but then the intro is the really hardest part for me, at least.
Yeah.
So
All right. Anything else for what doesn't work?
Nothing more that I can think of.
Okay.
I kind of thought some of the scenes were shot funny.
Some of them were.
They were it was fast zoom.
I won't call it.
What would you call it?
I don't know. It's like that editing style where it's computer enhanced.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying?
And
you can see. Okay,
What's happening?
no, it's hard. This is super hard to explain because I'm gonna explain it.
maybe we're not talking about the same thing.
Hopefully you might not be. Hopefully you can understand. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's part of his style. But how when you watch a video that has been the person who's watching it is crazy shaking, but then inside camera software, it's
You can stabilize.
yeah,
the
you can
image.
stabilize it, and it's but it
You
feels
can tell it's shaky.
it kind of feels weird. There's moments where a camera will do a weird 180,
Yes.
you say where it's going over a mountain and it does that 180. It's got that same unnatural quality to it.
Mm.
I
Okay.
don't know how to explain it.
Kind of the same, but I thought it was just weird the way it focused for me. It just made it seem like it was just gonna be more intense. So I don't know. Some of the shots for me, the way they just focused on it was just something big is gonna happen. Then it was nothing.
There's nothing. Okay. I don't
I'm
know.
lost. I don't know. Y'all have to show me.
There's some man. Maybe I'm telling you.
I don't.
I watched a different movie. Maybe I'm talking about the other movie. For all we know.
Oh gosh.
Anything else?
That's it. You don't have anything else to say? Just that it's long for you.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Okay. Well, if that's it for what didn't work, then what did work? And we've talked about writing.
Yeah.
I truly do think the writing here is phenomenal.
I think so too, because it got me to root for both parties. It got me to root for Jang, and it got me to root for Song.
Yeah. I personally, I loved the intermingling of romance and thriller, and seeing how both can equally be thrilling, right? And I also liked the moral questions that the audience gets tossed, like if you're a cop trying to solve a murder done by somebody that you love, what are you gonna do in that situation? You know. And, like, being able to put yourself in the shoes of our characters was so easy. And I really liked being able to wrestle with the questions that the film asks you. Yeah, and I like, even the little details, like, things to where you can think about it at the end of the film, like I was talking about, where whenever a case ends, you know, it leaves the corkboard in not only physically in Jang's apartment, but also his mind. Once it's solved, he never thinks about it again.
Yeah.
Case closed. I don't need to think about it. Let's move on to something else, right? Like, being able to watch the film and then put together the pieces that, like, now Song is going to become an unsolved case, and she is going to live in his mind forever.
Yeah.
Is such a incredible detail when it comes down to the writing of things. And, like, and that only happens because your writing is so incredibly detail oriented, and you're able to convey your story in a way that your audiences were able to understand. And I have to say, I really did think that the writing here was awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to say I think the acting is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Me as well.
Really, you know, just that love between the two, and I just think they really show their emotions great. They act awesome.
Okay.
I think the setting worked a lot very well. I liked where they're at. What are you laughing at, man?
Just keep going. Keep going.
I hate y'all, bro.
What?
Y'all laughing at me for nothing.
I'm not. Why does it have to be about you? Why can't I be thinking of something?
Because always when I'm talking.
No, that's when I have time to think.
Okay.
I-
You really don't want to know what I'm thinking about, bro.
What are you thinking about?
I am wrecked.
No, you're not.
I'm serious. That's why I say keep going. I don't want to talk about that.
circle.
I am rectangular.
Yeah.
I feel
Setting.
no hole.
Setting works for you.
Yeah, I like where they're at. I like how it's gloomy. It's like a beach city. I think I like the beach a lot, and I think that's why I liked it a lot. But I wanted to talk about, like, the technology. Again, you talked about the translator app, and I thought that was so cool. Dude, no, why can't other movies be that smart?
I felt like third removed. It was kind of weird because it was like I'm already reading the translation
that's a third language.
of Korean, and now it's from Chinese to Korean to English. I was like, holy, whoa.
Yeah.
This is
Something's getting lost.
I thought my Apple TV was messing up again when it wasn't showing subtitles, because it wouldn't show subtitles for that.
Yeah.
But I really thought it was cool, because I thought of movies that came out, not like off the top of my head, but I thought of, like, movies would be like, oh, they have an Apple Watch, like, and they're talking to someone Spanish, and they have to go get a translator. Bro, come on.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
self-aware,
Yeah.
and that's
The
something that I
movie
really
is
like.
able to be present in the present day world and have it still make sense.
Yeah, and that's something that I really did like.
Yeah. It's cool that usually you see language barriers between English and maybe that's just because the content I watch, but it's like English and French or English and someone else, but I've never seen it in between, like, Korean and Chinese. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
That's cool.
it's new to me.
Yeah. Only other thing I have written down here, I really did enjoy the cinematography here and just how the film is shot. I love how creative some of the shots are, and, like, as well as, like, camera techniques and, like, editing, as well as color grading and all that stuff. Like, I'm thinking of a specific shot that I saw where I was like, dude, that was a cool shot, where it looks like it's whenever Jang is driving up the mountain at nighttime to dump the grandma's ashes, and it looks like the camera is, like, mounted on the side of the car door, and we see Jang's reflection in the side view mirror, But then whenever he opens the door, the camera doesn't cut away. The camera stays there. And whenever he opens the door, the reflection then shows Song standing in the reflection of this side view mirror. And so like the camera like is here and it swings as the door opens, and then we see her in the reflection of the mirror, and then it swings back as he shuts the door. And it's like cool little shots like that where I was like, oh, that was cool. Or I think of even the interrogation room scene. Whenever we watch the focus shift from like Song in the present day, but then there's a mirror behind her. And so, you know, the focus is on her in the foreground, but then in the background where the mirror is happening, it's also focused on Jang. And then those focuses will shift with one another. And then there are moments where like just the mirror will be in focus and the reflections will be focused, and then those will be out of focus, and then just the people in the foreground are. Like, I noticed that happening as it was taking place, and I was like, whoa, that's cool how they're doing that. I wonder how they're able to focus shift like that in real time. It feels like they're doing it like as I'm watching it. And yeah, other like cool little editing transition type things as well that I thought were really cool. Like I think there's a really cool transition whenever we see Song's palm on the beach, like as she is dying, and then as it fades, you see Jang walking, and it's like he's in the transition of the palm of her hand, but like it's quite literally like she has him in the palm of his hand, like very literally. And that transition is able to convey that image that she's the one in power in this situation. And like, again, just slick little things like that where I was able to look at it from a stylistic standpoint and a visual standpoint and be like, this is awesome. So,
All right. Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
yeah. All right. That's it for what did work. Who wins this movie?
Easily Tang Wei as Song.
Okay.
Song
Yeah.
wins it for me. She's fantastic.
I'd go the other way and say the man who played Jang, his name is Park Hae-il. I don't know how to
Really?
say his name.
I like Song.
So the reason why I like her is because she's that like, she starts off as a very innocent, and then she turns out to be a very devious lady.
I think for me the reason why I choose her is because it was the biggest, just like holy cow, like no way. It's just like she finally got that, like, I don't know, I don't want to say she got that thing because she killed someone, you know. The epiphany was just like the biggest thing, and it was just super remarkable.
Okay. All right. Any themes here?
I like what you wrote.
Okay.
I pretty much agree with that
Okay.
wholeheartedly.
I said, what would you do for love?
What is love? The theme that I wrote was the absurdity of loving someone while knowing that it will never work. And again, kind of how blind love makes you in certain situations. All right, if that's it for the themes,
That's
what
it.
are we rating this?
I will go first, and I gave it a 6.
Okay.
I'm going to echo you, give it a 6 as well.
Okay. I'm going to give this one a 7.
All right.
So, that's it for the episode. If you guys stuck all the way to the end, we appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like, comment on the videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you're notified whenever we upload. And if you're listening on the audio platforms, whether that be whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anything of that nature, hit us up with a rate and review. Let us know what you're thinking of the episode. It really does help whenever you guys interact with the content, so that way we know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we can improve upon. You guys can also use those platforms to shoot us movie recommendations and things of that nature as well. If you don't want to reach out to us on such a public platform, you know, in front of everybody, then you can click into our episode descriptions and reach out to us via Instagram or Letterboxd or our email address. Those are all going to be listed in our episode descriptions, and hit us up that way as well. So, as always, we're going to reveal the next pick for next week, which is going to be Abe's pick.
Ooh.
And
Yes.
because we are going to be getting into the month of October, we're gonna ease our way into some of the scarier picks here. So Abe, what are we gonna be watching?
We are gonna watch the 2007 film Paranormal Activity.
I've never seen this.
I've seen it like
I
twice.
haven't either.
And from what I remember, I think one time I actually watched it. I don't know if you guys remember Comcast. They used to have something called On Demand.
I remember that. Yeah, it's like a black button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what
So
you're talking
I remember my grandma had On Demand, and my older brother wanted to watch this movie,
Mm.
and I was scared out of my mind.
Oh yeah,
I'm
me
younger
too.
than I was like 8 or 9, I think, watching this movie, and then I watched it again probably like 3 or 4 years ago. So I don't remember much, but
I've never seen the movie. I just remember seeing the previews for it because this came out in 2007. I was probably at like 12 years old.
I wonder what movies came out in 2007.
A lot.
A lot, man.
No Country for Old Men.
Oh,
There Will Be Blood.
We've done a bunch of 2007 movies.
A lot. But yeah, I remember seeing the previews for this film, the trailers and stuff, and just being terrified just by the trailers. And I remember the movie taking the world by storm, like quite literally. This was like the scary movie of that year. Like everyone talked about it, and it's been so successful that it's spawned like 5 or 6 sequels, which is
so
insane,
many.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I remember this movie. Isn't it like one of the first movies to get like joked about? I feel like for some reason everyone. Maybe I'm thinking of isn't there a what do they call those movies that are
Spoof movie?
Yeah, spoof movie of
No, I don't
Paranormal
think there is
Activity.
a spoof movie.
think there I think there is with like the Wayans brothers,
I'm not sure.
maybe.
I just remember as a kid, or
If I'm not mistaken, isn't it called like Meet the Blacks or something like that?
I don't know.
I think that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called.
Oh my gosh!
And they're
A
like,
Haunted House.
well, I don't know what I'm thinking.
It's
of.
called A Haunted House with
Man, I'm gonna sound racist as hell now.
with
No.
Marlon Wayans.
Is it that?
Yes, this one.
And it's got that guy where he goes,
It is.
he goes, I don't give a.
Yeah.
I don't give a.
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm talking
that's
about.
what I
This
was
one?
thinking of. Man, what the hell am I thinking of now, dude? I swear I'm not racist.
I don't. I think that is that a movie though.
This
I'm
one?
pretty sure it is.
No, well, this,
the one
obviously.
that I'm talking about.
This is a spoof of Paranormal.
Oh, I've heard of
Activity.
Meet the Blacks, I think.
That's another spoof.
It's
movie.
a film series.
Of what? I don't know.
Yes, dude. Oh, it's making fun of The Purge with
Uh,
Mike Epps. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm dummy.
Close.
All right.
I didn't know. I didn't think it was that, but
Anyways, I just remember this movie getting like dunked on. So I don't know if that means it's.
Good or bad?
I think it's gonna be bad.
we'll see.
Who knows?
Apparently,
looked,
it's
it said-
super scary.
When I looked, it had an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is certified fresh. So
All right. Well, I'm assuming I'm not gonna be scared.
We'll watch it with all the lights off.
Well, let's find out. I will.
all right, what's it streaming on?
It is streaming on Paramount Plus and Tubi for free, I believe.
I saw that in Pluto TV.
Pluto TV, excuse me, not Tubi, excuse me.
Okay.
And you can rent it,
Yeah.
but that's what it's streaming on.
All right. So if you have those streaming platforms, tune in. If you're familiar with Paranormal Activity or if you own it, get
Pop
a
it
rewatch
in.
and tune in next week to hear what we have to say about that film. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.